Chapter 2. Relics. It swished open. Of course. Gran? Are you asleep? She usually has a nap in the evenings. Yes, out for the count, snore, snore. Hey? Oh, Gran. Well, come on in if you're going to, you great Wally. Gran's bed cube is, well, exactly like my bed cube, except for our secret, which is a box of ancient relics under the bed. On very special occasions, and only when Mum and Dad are out, we open the box up and look at it and touch the relics. Ancient relics are strictly forbidden in the domestic living units on the European space colony Taurus 4, which makes Gran a criminal, and probably me too. What's a great Wally, Gran? Hey? Oh, I don't know. It's an old-fashioned phrase, something my mum often used to call my dad. Yes, but what does it mean? Well, I suppose twit. Eh? Well, what does your mum call you when you've been a bit silly? A proper dilt. There you are then. Great Wally is just an old-fashioned phrase meaning a proper dilt. Now, what do you want for your supper? Supper. Yawn. Bore. I went to Gran's dressing table and entered the code on her VDU. ro.je.ma. I like my code. ro.je.ma. I often say it in my head as one word, Rojama. Something in my imaginings. I call myself Rojama rather than Rosemary. The screen flashed up. ro.je.ma. Rosemary Jemima Martin. Programme Body Care. ID number WTYT80B67210. Domestic Living Unit 4057. The European Space Colony Taurus 4. Dateline 2.10.2090. Hi Rosemary. For supper tonight, Rosemary, you need D2 6ml, B1 2ml and C 30ml. Bon appetit. If that was what the body care programme said I wanted for supper, that was what I got to have for supper. 3 tablets popped out of a dispenser and I swallowed them in one giant gulp. Gran, did the Elizabethans have tablets for supper? Of course not. What did they have then? Gran looked around and listened intently. She leaned over towards me. Promise you'll tell no one. Promise. Cross your heart. Hope to die. Cross my heart. Hope to die, Gran. That was another Elizabethan phrase Gran had taught me. She put her head closer to mine. I could hear her breathing very quickly. Dead plants and animals. My stomach suddenly felt as if it was being pulled up towards my throat. Dead plants and animals? Gran nodded. Her face was as steady as a rock. And they had a special delicacy. If dead plants and animals were the Elizabethans' usual diet, I wasn't sure I wanted to hear about their special delicacies, but Gran was already whispering in my ear. Fish's fingers. My stomach was creeping up the back of my tongue. This had to be one of Gran's famous wind-up. Fishes don't have fingers. I know, I've seen graphics of them on a history disc. Huh? History disc, mystery disc, muttered Gran darkly. Of course the graphics you saw of fishes on the history disc didn't have any fingers. And do you know why? I shook my head. The Elizabethans had eaten all of them for supper. Oh, why did the Elizabethans eat fishes' fingers? Gran shrugged. The taste, I suppose. Taste? Yes, taste. Flavour. A sense they used to have. What was it like? Oh, I can't describe it. Any more than you can describe shades and colours. I mean, can you describe pink to me? Pink? Well, it's sort of a light red. Sort of a light red? What's that meant to tell me? I suppose if I asked you to describe red, you'd say it was a sort of dark pink. I took Gran's point. There you are then. No one can describe colour or taste. Smell. That was another one. Smell? You use your nose for smelling. It sounded horrid. I remember your great-grandfather lighting a fire made from wood in the open air. That was some smell. Wood smoke. Gran's eyes had glazed over. She seemed to be looking somewhere way out beyond the dreamy white ceiling of the bed cube. I miss those tastes and smells, she said quietly. Then she got down onto her knees and crawled under the bed. I held my breath and my heart beat faster. She was dragging out the wooden box of ancient relics. Fish's fingers, she murmured. She prized off the lid and took out a long, thin tube of wood with holes in it. This is what the Elizabethans made music on before Digitune. Then she took out a badge and a tiny plastic model of an Elizabethan petrol car. Then she handed me a large vase made of what she called glass that shone all the colours of the spectrum. I'd seen it every time Gran had opened her relic box, and every time it seemed more and more magical. Careful with that, it's very fragile. I tightened my grip on the priceless relic. It's beautiful. It's fance, I whispered. What the Elizabethans would have called wicked, said Gran. I frowned. Wicked? But wicked means bad. Yes, I know, but the Elizabethans used it to mean good too. Like, that's a really wicked jacket, or that's a really wicked vase. Wicked meant fance. I shook my head. There was a lot I didn't understand about the Elizabethans. Gran was foraging deep into the relic box. Aha! That's what they would have eaten them with. A knife and fork. She looked up from the box with a big grin and held up a pair of hand-sized, deadly-looking weapons, one with a gleaming blade, the other with 4 pointed prongs. I shivered. They sparkled in the light and seemed sharp enough to slice through your tongue. There might be a picture of a fish's finger in this book, she muttered. Even the box itself was something of a relic. I picked it up. Gran, why does the relic box have such a thick bottom? Rosemary, why are you always asking questions? No, look inside. The bottom comes a long way up the sides. Gran tapped the bottom of the box with her knuckle. Sounded as hollow as a drum. Looks to me like a false bottom. Give me that knife. Gran eased the knife between the bottom and the inside wall of the box. There was a creaking sound as the false bottom slowly began to lift. When there was a big enough space for her fingers, Gran put her hand in and pulled. The false bottom came completely out. Flippin' heck, said Gran. Look at that. What is it? It's a photograph. Hey? A photograph. A sort of primitive method of recording 2-dimensional graphic images before holographs and spectrographs and the like. In this photograph, there was a row of Elizabethan boys and a row of Elizabethan girls. At the bottom it said, Turnberry Girls Football Team, Turnberry Boys Football Team, Thursday the 29th of March, 1990. Oh my goodness, this is special. Gran was really excited now. Look at that girl in the middle of the back row. Who does she remind you of? This sounded to me like one of Gran's famous people in Elizabethan history questions. What? The ginger one with the sticky out ears? Yes. I thought hard, trying desperately to remember the names of all those Elizabethan princesses. Princess someone? Princess my foot. It's a spitting image of you, Rosemary. Oh, yes. This must be a photograph of your great-gran. Which one? Your great-gran Samantha, my mother. When she was about your age, she was football crazy. I shivered. What do you mean, that playing football games made her mad? No, I do not. Gran told me all about the Elizabethans and their football games, how it was fun, but of no use, just like my imaginings, and all about mud, caused by rain, which the Elizabethans had no way of controlling. I ran my hand over the photograph. It was smooth, as if it had not been touched for years. I stared hard at the serious, squinting faces and imagined the sounds of their giggling and chatter. Everything about the photograph seemed just like a magical dream. Your great-gran was the best footballer of them all, you know, Gran explained. Better than the boys? Oh, certainly better than any of the boys. She was staring hard at the face in the photograph of the boys' football team. Is any of those boys my great-granddad then, Gran? I asked. And that is why I didn't hear the hiss of the domestic living unit door. For before Gran could answer, Dad's voice screamed in my ear, Rosemary, get back to your own bed cube this minute! I jumped. My hands jarred. As if in slow motion, the priceless glass vase slipped through my fingers, crashed to the floor, and with a single thud shattered into hundreds of tiny fragments.